Affirmative action is a policy that aims to address historical and ongoing discrimination and promote equal opportunities for individuals from marginalized or underrepresented groups, particularly in areas such as employment, education, and public contracting. The primary goal of affirmative action is to level the playing field and ensure that qualified individuals from these groups have fair access to opportunities that they may have been denied in the past. Affirmative action policies vary across countries and jurisdictions, so it's important to note that the specific details and implementation can differ. However, the underlying principle remains consistent: to take proactive steps to overcome the effects of past discrimination and promote diversity and inclusion. Supporters of affirmative action argue that it helps address systemic inequalities and fosters a more equitable society by promoting diversity and creating opportunities for underrepresented groups. They believe that by providing preferential treatment to marginalized groups, society can move closer to achieving equal representation and breaking down barriers that have historically disadvantaged certain individuals. Critics of affirmative action, on the other hand, argue that it can lead to reverse discrimination, where individuals who belong to non-targeted groups may face unfair disadvantages in the selection process. They contend that merit-based criteria should be the sole basis for decisions and that affirmative action policies can undermine the principles of equal treatment and fairness. The debate surrounding affirmative action is complex and often contentious, with arguments on both sides. Different countries and regions have adopted varying approaches to affirmative action, depending on their unique historical contexts and legal frameworks. It is a topic that continues to be discussed and debated in legal, social, and political spheres, certainly. Here are some additional points to consider in the discussion on affirmative action. Legal considerations. The legality of affirmative action varies across different jurisdictions. Some countries, like the United States, have established legal frameworks that allow for affirmative action, while others may have different laws or no specific legislation on the matter. Legal challenges have been brought forth against affirmative action programs, with court cases examining their constitutionality and adherence to equal protection principles. Diversity and inclusion. Proponents argue that affirmative action promotes diversity and inclusion by ensuring that institutions reflect the broader society they serve. By actively seeking out individuals from underrepresented groups, it is believed that organizations can benefit from a wider range of perspectives, experiences, and talents, which can lead to better decision-making, innovation, and social cohesion. Compensatory justice. Affirmative action is often seen as a means of rectifying historical injustices and systemic discrimination that certain groups have faced. Supporters argue that it is a form of compensatory justice, acknowledging and addressing the disadvantages these groups have endured by providing them with preferential treatment and opportunities. Merit and fairness. Critics contend that affirmative action can undermine the principles of meritocracy and fairness by prioritizing demographic factors over individual qualifications. They argue that individuals should be evaluated based solely on their abilities, qualifications, and achievements, rather than their race, gender, or other protected characteristics. Alternatives and socioeconomic factors. Some argue that socioeconomic factors, such as poverty or educational disadvantage, should be the primary focus when addressing inequality, rather than race or gender. They suggest that socioeconomically based affirmative action or class-based policies could achieve similar goals without raising concerns of reverse discrimination. Unintended consequences. Critics also express concerns about potential negative consequences of affirmative action policies. These may include stigmatization of individuals who are perceived to have obtained opportunities through affirmative action, decreased trust in institutions, and the possibility of perpetuating stereotypes or biases. It is essential to approach discussions on affirmative action with a nuanced understanding of the specific context, legal frameworks, and goals of such policies, as well as considering the various perspectives and concerns involved, certainly. Here are some additional considerations regarding affirmative action. Long-term effects. Evaluating the long-term effects of affirmative action policies can be challenging. Some studies suggest that these policies have helped increase representation and access to opportunities for underrepresented groups. However, assessing the direct impact of affirmative action on individual success or social mobility is complex due to various factors at play, including societal attitudes, economic conditions, and the effectiveness of implementation. Intersectionality. Affirmative action policies often address multiple dimensions of disadvantage by considering the intersection of race, gender, and other factors. Intersectionality recognizes that individuals may face compounded discrimination and disadvantage based on the overlapping identities they hold. Incorporating intersectionality into affirmative action can help ensure that policies account for the specific challenges faced by individuals with intersecting marginalized identities. Education and diversity. Affirmative action in education has been a particularly contentious topic. Supporters argue that diverse learning environments enhance educational experiences and better prepare students for a multicultural society. They suggest that affirmative action can contribute to a more inclusive educational setting by promoting diversity among students and fostering cross-cultural understanding. Evolving approaches. Affirmative action policies have evolved over time. Some jurisdictions have moved away from race-based affirmative action and shifted towards race-neutral alternatives that aim to achieve diversity through other means, such as considering socioeconomic status or geographic factors. These approaches attempt to address underrepresentation while avoiding direct consideration of race or ethnicity. International perspectives. Affirmative action policies and approaches differ globally. While the United States is often associated with affirmative action, other countries, such as India, Brazil, and South Africa, have implemented similar policies to address historical inequalities and promote inclusivity. Understanding international experiences with affirmative action can contribute to a broader perspective on the issue. Ongoing dialogue and evaluation. The topic of affirmative action continues to be the subject of ongoing dialogue, scrutiny, and evaluation. It is important to assess the effectiveness, fairness, and unintended consequences of these policies, and to have open discussions about potential improvements or alternative approaches that can achieve the goals of promoting equal opportunity and addressing systemic discrimination. It's worth noting that public opinion on affirmative action can vary, and perspectives may differ based on individual experiences, values, and social contexts. Engaging in respectful and informed discussions can help further understanding and contribute to finding ways to create a more equitable society.